Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, along with my co-host, as always, Glenn Martin, here to talk about your Baltimore Ravens. A lot of news in the football verse today. A lot of news, of course, here in Baltimore with the Ravens cutting down their roster to 53 players. Them acquiring a player, and our quarterback being a little active on Twitter. So we're going to get into all those things tonight. We're excited. Glenn, let me start off. How you doing, my man?
Doing good. Excited. There's a lot to talk about. I couldn't wait to get on here to get into it because sometimes we get on here and there's not a ton to discuss, but certainly that is not the case today. Quite a few surprises in the cut down today, which had to be in by 4:00. And while some of them may have been some accounting things where maybe guys who were cut today might not be gone for long. But others, I think, were very much so a big time surprise. So we're going to get into everything like Jimmy mentioned. But the first place we're going to start is the new addition to the Ravens, as the Ravens are expected to bring in running back Kenyan Drake. Apparently, the agent is saying he will sign. He did sign with the Ravens pending his physical. So he's just got to get through a physical, which I'm expecting that won't be an issue considering he was just in the Raiders camp participating in their training camp. So I got to imagine he's pretty healthy. But Jimbo, you see they bring over Kenyan Drake, guy's been around the league, a veteran. What does that mean for the room? What does that say for the other guys in that running back room? What's your initial thoughts?
Well, initial thoughts are I like it. I've always liked Drake. I think he's a good player. He's got some speed on the outside. He's got some good hands. I think he's an overall nice piece and a utility back. He's certainly, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's younger than the guys we picked up last year, unless one of those guys is just a lot younger and felt like they've been around forever.
He's 28, Jimbo.
Yeah, so let's see. Latavius, I think, was 30.
Yeah, they were both Freeman north of 30. Right?
Yeah, yeah, or he was like 29, but about to be 30. But either way, so yeah, I mean, I like it. I know he's coming off of a pretty severe injury, not like crazy, but a decent ankle injury with the Raiders. But overall, I mean, I like it. Now, really, your question, I think, and what you want to know is, what do I think it means for the rest of the running back room, right?
Yeah.
So it makes me concerned that I'm afraid some of these injuries are really going to have an impact on this coming season. Injuries from last year, of course, which I was hoping, and I think all Ravens fans were hoping to like put last year to bed. And I just don't know if that's going to be the case, which is really unfortunate. So, I think what it means to me is that JK is not ready. Obviously, Gus is already on PUP, but really to me, it's that JK is not ready. So they're going to, what's up, Cakes? What's up, boys? Ready for the season? Us too, right, Glenn?
Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so totally. But to round out your question there, I think it really is not an indictment. I don't say it's an indicator that JK is just not ready. And that they want some more firepower other than Mike Davis and Justice Hill and those guys.
Yeah, and I think that the surprising thing is that they go outside the franchise, bring in Kenyan Drake, who's now going to have to, in a very short period of time, get caught up to speed with this offense, which has been described as the most, complicated run scheme in all of football, and you're adding a running back. So I'm assuming he's going to have to familiarize himself pretty quickly if he's going to be a contributor. And if he's not going to be a contributor quickly, and if JK isn't ready, to whatever degree he's not ready, then that means it's going to be Mike Davis and it's going to be Justice Hill, because there's simply no one else on the roster, Jimbo. They cut Tyler Beatty today in a surprising move, being as though he was a 4th-round pick this season. Or no, was it 6th-round pick?
6th-round pick, yeah.
6th-round pick. But a draft pick this season nonetheless. So, I mean, how bad must Tyler Beatty have been if they're reaching for Kenyan Drake, who has no idea of this offense and will have very little time to learn it?
Yeah, I mean, to put it short, bad. The guys were just unimpressive, apparently. And I'll say this, I think our golden rule with draft picks getting cut or getting moved, really, I guess it doesn't really apply anymore, right? Eric DaCosta is flipping the script, that's for sure. It's definitely looking that way. So yeah, I think I'll use the word indictment. It's an indictment on the running back room. Because I think he comes in, and I'd put money on the fact that he gets behind Mike Davis, I bet you he gets more carries than Justice Hill. Maybe not. Justice had moments, and he looks more the part.
Stronger.
Yeah.
More
It's crazy
explosive.
that, like, I'm interested to see what he can do when all I've been is underwhelmed.
Well, I mean, I'm always open. I would love for any Ravens player that I'm, expressing any type of like if I'm bagging on a guy, I want him to prove me wrong because that means the Ravens are doing well. So
Yeah.
absolutely
But I'm
prove
like,
us wrong.
I have some confidence that things might happen is I guess a better way to put it. Like, which is
Yeah.
crazy because I don't think I ever have.
Well, exactly. No, you're right. He's been encouraging,
Yeah.
especially when you consider he's coming off of an injury and
Yep.
the obvious physical changes he's made to his body. Sean Pisker says, "Hey boys, big day for the Ravens. Pretty shocked about some cuts. Hoping Stanley will be ready for week 1 or 2." Absolutely, and we're getting ready to jump into that. But before we do, I just want to give everybody a bit of a peek in case you're unfamiliar with Kenyan Drake and where he's been. He was drafted to the Miami Dolphins out of Alabama. Played with them for the
Was he a
first.
first rounder? I know he went early.
He was a 3rd round pick, number
rounder,
73 overall. So he spent his first 4 seasons with the Miami Dolphins. With the Miami Dolphins. Didn't miss a game. Played in all 16 in his first 3 years. Then after those 4 seasons, he went to the Arizona Cardinals. Played 2 seasons there, and then spent last season with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a 4.5 yard per carry average as a runner in his career. He's got 29 total rushing touchdowns in his career, but he's not just, between the tackles. He's not just a running back. This guy catches a ton of balls out of the backfield, has caught as many as 53 in 2018, and has 199 catches total for his career. So the guy is prolific in both areas. He's also a guy who's had 41 kickoff returns for his team. So certainly a guy that checks a ton of boxes. He's also had he's been a special teams performer as recent as 2020. So he's a guy that can come in and fill in a lot of roles. And so, yeah, welcome to the flock. But yeah, surprised that he beat out Beatty when Beatty had all of offseason, all of training camp, and he couldn't beat out a guy who's not even on the team. It's kind of surprising. But as for Sean's comment here, Jimbo, I want to get into a little bit of the offensive line talk because they kept 11 offensive linemen in total, including, of course, Ronnie Stanley. But when you hear 11 offensive linemen, including Tristan Colon, who seems to be the 3rd center if everything goes as planned, does that give you any indication with them keeping 11 guys, including a center? Does that give you any indication as to Stanley's health and availability week 1?
I mean, I guess logically speaking, it probably means that Stanley isn't ready week 1. Like he's just not ready to go. And otherwise the guys would have gone with someone else. Right. So, or they would have, gone lighter in that position and then filled it somewhere else. So I think logically speaking, that makes sense in my mind. But it sucks because, we'll hope Stanley's back week 2. But at the end of the day, those are precious roster spots. And who knows? I mean, guys could be hanging around, taking a few weeks off, and then the Ravens could do some shifting to that, which we might get into, but to the active roster. But it bums me out, man. It bums me out because Ronnie's still not ready. He's still a question mark. And I know that that's going to be the case for a while, but it's been the case for, I think, over 500 days now.
Yeah. It's like when will be the time when he's ready? But yeah, when I see Tristan Colon, it just tells me that they need Makari to be the swing guy, and so they can't have him being the backup center if something were to happen to Linderbaum. And Linderbaum coming kind of pretty fresh off of a foot injury and being a rookie himself, it just seems like they felt like they needed to keep Colon and because of Makari having to be the swing, and because now. Rumors are that they might take Falele and he might get moved to IR, at least with the designation where he could return. And if that's the case, then Makari's role as the swing tackle becomes even more important because now he's not just backing up Juwan James he's not just rocking up Juwan James if Stanley's not ready, but now he's backing up Morgan Moses as well on the right side.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, 11 at the end of the day is a lot of people. That's a lot of people dedicated to just the offensive line. At the same time,
They're not messing
We
around, bro.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking a lot about the wanting the Ravens to make sure Lamar Jackson is an absolute fortress in front of him. So, hopefully this is the way that they get it done and they have the right combination of players to get the job done. But I kind of want to stay on the offensive side of the ball, and I want to talk about the pass catchers, specifically the tight ends.
Yeah.
When we mocked this or made our predictions, we both predicted, if I'm not mistaken, 4 tight ends, and I think that, well, I guess 3 we both predicted, and then Ricard we kind of included in with the running backs, unless I've mistaken that.
I had 4.
Let's see. I had Andrews, Boyle, Likely. I think those are the only 3 I had. Yeah, so those are the only 3 I had.
I had Oliver making this team.
Oh, right,
remember?
you did. Yeah, you had Oliver.
And Kohler, well, I think we were both kind of unaware that he wasn't already on IR and kind of just the accounting of it, that they have to wait until the season in order to put him on IR so he can return.
Right.
So, yeah, I think if that was the case, I may not have put Oliver on this roster, but I thought Kohler was already on IR.
No, absolutely. So, but we'll say it's 4 because at the end of the day, Kohler is not. I mean, he's there and he's taking up a spot right now, but some manipulating I'm sure can be done there if the Ravens need to. But I really want to focus on Oliver. So, kind of the same question: what does it mean about the tight ends and that group in and of itself? Does it speak more about their concern, like how you should be concerned about that group, or more about the fact that Oliver maybe showed some things in camp?
Well, I think what it tells you is that the focus on those guys being pass catchers is just a very real thing. And you if you look at the wide receiver room, where's the size in that room? There's virtually none. So the size, and it can all be found in the tight end room. That's their big pass catchers on this team. They have a bunch of smaller guys in the wide receiver room. So I think what it says is a massive commitment to the tight end group being a huge factor in this offense going forward. They are going to run a ton of 3 tight end sets, and those 3 tight ends could now be a few different combinations, and you're going to have to be prepared depending on which one's out there. And then you can also use that preparation against teams. If they see Boyle coming out, they might be gearing up thinking, oh, this is definitely a run play, or else they'd have Oliver in there. And then they kind of flip the script. So I think what having Oliver brings is just more excitement, more athleticism, and more, talent in a pass catching way to the tight end room. So I'm excited. I just think that they're going to go all in on this kind of a backwards way of doing things offensively, where they're going heavy tight end and light at wide receiver, and they're not backing down, Jimbo.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said, doubling down on their identity and who they are. So that'll be really interesting and exciting to see shake out. Now, staying on offense one more time here with the wide receiver group, they went light. I think we accurately predicted. Oh, okay. I guess we can get to this. Tom Votto says, means Jefferson or Urban, who is handshake deal like to come back, and how surprised are you guys with Hayes cut? Yeah, that was another one that surprised me. We haven't gotten to the defense yet, but I think the handshake deal, if there is one, is Urban.
But Means has got to be in their plans, dude.
Definitely. Sorry, I meant between these 2, but absolutely. That one was probably the most shocking one for me.
Yeah, because of who's left.
Out.
And there's just
3
not
outside linebackers.
And one of them is going quickly to the IR. So I think as far as handshake deals, I think there's at least a bare minimum of 2 that are going to be happening very quickly, with Ajabo and Kohler going right to IR. There's going to be 2 spots. The question is, who's the guy on the outside, or is there a third spot, a third guy going to IR in Daniel Fa'alele? If he's the case, then all 3 of these guys could be on their way back very soon.
Yeah, I think it ends up being Urban and, like you said, or Hayes and Means, if you're talking the outside linebacker group. That could end up making their way back. But what was your take on? Let's just skip to it. We can go back to the wide receivers. Point being, we accurately predicted the wide receivers. Really, no surprises there, right?
Easy, yeah.
Yeah. So let's focus on this group, the outside linebacker group, and the fringe players and things like that. So what was your take on Hayes? Man, were you surprised?
Very surprised. Absolutely stunned. Only because he hasn't really had the opportunity in live game action other than the preseason. And maybe that's all it took. And maybe they saw enough of him from the preseason. But to me, that room, I mean, it's Justin Houston and Odafe Oweh right now. Right now, that's your entire outside line. That's your edge right there. That's insane to me, Jimbo. So if Hayes isn't on his way back, then somebody else must be on their way. Is JPP on his way? I mean, there we go. Kieran Martin, that's perfect. Chances of JPP coming with 3 outside linebackers. It's got to be someone. There has to be someone on their way because they cannot start. And look, people can tell me, they went heavy inside for that very reason. That's why Malik Harrison's still on this roster along with Christian Welch and Josh Ross, which we're excited to get into later.
Yeah.
But, and then maybe the Malik Harrison can do some outside. Maybe, but do you want to count on Malik Harrison in a big time moment to be your outside guy? No, heck no. So I'm concerned. It's crazy, Jimbo. The biggest concern to start this offseason was the outside linebacker room. And still the biggest concern here today is the outside linebacker room. What do you make of this?
Eric DaCosta must not be as concerned as us, or there must be a reason he shaves his head.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's probably a little stressed out. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm stressing about it for sure. I don't know where we get the pass rush because Adafe's going to have to turn into Superman, play every single solitary snap. Justin Houston's going to have to take it back a decade, play every single solitary snap. Yeah. Right? Like, it's just going to be ridiculous. So I'm interested to see what happens. I feel good that Means comes back. Mm-hmm. And I'm more excited about that than Hayes. Not that I don't want to see Hayes out there, but as far as the immediate impact, Means really played well in preseason. I think he's got to be given every opportunity to continue to do so.
Yep. So he'll be back. There's no way Steven Means is not back.
Right. He played too good.
Plus, he just checks a lot of boxes. He just, and he's a vet. I mean, it's like he's too valuable to this group to not bring him back. And same with Urban. I don't. Yeah, that's got to be another one where it's just accounting issues. Jimmy, I don't know if you have the ability to find this, and because I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But if you have the ability to find the roster, so we could actually display some of this stuff. Sure. That'd be awesome. Marco G says Oliver will move to practice squad when Kohler comes back, and that could be the case if Oliver is disappointing or if Kohler is just hitting on all cylinders and beating the door down. But if Oliver continues to make strides and play, I thought he played well in the final preseason game. I think there's ways to keep your way on the roster if you're Josh Oliver. But you're right. I mean, they have plans for Charlie Kohler, and let's hope he recovers well from his injury. But okay, there we go.
Yep.
Let's hope that we don't get absolutely killed here, Jimbo, for copyright purposes.
Who is this? Baltimore beat down. They'll be okay. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the running backs. Obviously, include Ricard in there. We talked about our receivers, tight end, offensive line. Yeah. So I mean, if you go down to the defense, we've been discussing off the outside linebacker. Should we get to these guys here? I mean, once again, I don't think there's a ton of surprises except Brent Urban, but like you said, it seems to be a handshake thing, and he'll be on his way back. Any other surprises in this group for you?
Well, just the ones that are missing. There's no surprises who made it. I mean, I think that's a stud group right there. Every one of those guys on that group is an impressive player and a guy that I think everybody would want on their team. So
yeah, and I have the opposite. So the inverse of this, I have the cuts too.
Yes. That's probably more surprising as those who didn't make it. But let's go down a little bit, Jimbo. I want to, and we're gonna come back to inside linebackers. I can't wait to get your, see you glowing with pride as the guy you selected early on has made the team. But as far as the DB room as a whole, Geno Stone, is he now the new Anthony Levine going forward? Is he just going to be the super safety who's mainly known for his contributions on special teams?
I don't think so. I got more hopes for Geno Stone than that. I think the kid's a player. I think he's got it, and I think he can continue to develop and make plays when called upon to play defense. I mean, obviously he's making hay in the special teams, but look, one day Chuck Clark's going to be gone, right? One day Marcus Williams is going to be gone.
Oh, well, Marcus Williams ain't going nowhere for a long time.
No, I know. I realize that. But what I mean is that he's much more of a veteran player than a Geno Stone and a Kyle Hamilton. as far as age goes, whether it's here or
Mhm.
not, like their time in the NFL, assuming that Geno Stone keeps getting a job and keeps getting better, right?
Yeah, that's a big
So
if.
right, but I think that so I guess my answer to you is I think his ceiling is higher than Anthony Levine. Not that Anthony Levine, I never wanted to see him on defense, so I just want to see him on special teams.
Yeah.
Where Geno Stone has made some plays on defense, even in the
Mhm.
regular season.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
I
he's
agree
got a
with you.
little bit more in him than that.
I think those instincts he has is what sets him apart and
Yep.
above Levine. Not to not to discredit Levine. Levine's the better special teams player and
Yeah.
probably the better leader, judging by how his career has advanced. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that Geno made it over Tony Jefferson in that. I mean, I guess, man, I guess so. If this is week 15, Jimbo, and you need a win, and let's say
I
Chuck
know.
Clark is banged up, you'd feel better about Geno being out there in a big time play than Tony, huh?
Well, I guess what it really comes down to is what even if what am I trying to say here? If it's about situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you're playing next to Marcus Williams, who's a rangy guy anyway,
Yeah.
Tony Jefferson would be a good fit to be next to him, right? But if you're asking a guy to do more in coverage, I'd want Geno Stone. Do more with the ball in there, and
Depends
I'd
on the
want
play
Geno.
call, right? Situation.
Right. So that's the hard part. Like, what do you value more?
Yeah.
A guy that can tackle and is aggressive and physical, or a guy that can do more with the ball in the air.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it probably came down to special teams, Jimbo, like it
Yeah.
sometimes
And
tends to
because
do
Tony
here.
had 2 pivotal missed tackles on television, everyone saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty indicting and tough for him. So
And Geno
yeah,
just always just somehow finds a way to make plays, dude. It's just
yeah.
crazy, but he always seems to. And then the cornerback room, Jimbo.
Well, hold on, you missed out the hardest part, dude.
What?
Special teams. We were 3 for 3, bro.
Oh my goodness. Yes, the no-brainer, Justin Tucker, and of course Nick Moore and the beautiful long
Stout.
locks of Jordan Stout, which actually they're not that long.
Yeah. And
But
I don't know if they're beautiful.
come on
They're
now.
okay. They're okay.
Don't hate. Don't hate because
No, I'm
somebody
just
else
not.
got some hair, Jimbo.
I'm just not the
Don't.
biggest fan. Dude, I can
Don't.
grow that in a second. What do you?
James is on Adderall.
Why is that? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I don't. They could if they only knew you more intimately how far away from the truth that could be.
I could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be prescribed to me, right? Like,
That would be the only way. And if the Jimbo
yeah,
would
my
take,
body's a temple, my man.
that's right. That's right. You don't mess around. And yeah, I would be stunned to hear that.
Only if it was
Hey, what's
prescribed.
going on,
Let's be
Dante?
honest.
Appreciate you coming out here, man.
You know Dante?
Yeah,
Do I know
man.
Dante?
You may have went to school with him at one point when you were younger.
Dante!
But I
What's up,
certainly
man?
did spend a lot of time with him. Cool dude, no doubt. Appreciate you coming out. But yeah, okay. So let's get into what
Want me to
you're
switch to the other side?
the surprise cuts, unless
Yeah,
you want
so,
to.
like, I got the
Yeah.
inverse. So, like, let's just review some of these guys that were cut because I don't want to miss
Okay.
any. You know what I mean? I think that might be worth spending a couple minutes on, yeah?
And then we'll jump back to the linebackers and talk about your guy.
Oh, shoot. You know what? Let's do that first. That sounds
Okay. All
like
right,
a
cool,
better
cool,
idea.
Cool.
At the end of the day, we were both right when it came to linebackers because
Yep.
inside linebackers, the Ravens kept PQ, Josh Bynes, Christian Welch, Josh Ross, and I'm missing someone.
No, you got it. Well,
Okay,
Malik Harrison. Yeah.
Oh, and Malik Harrison. So they kept 5 on the inside, which Glenn and I only predicted 4.
Yep.
And really what it came down to for us was between Welch and Ross. I picked Ross, you picked Welch. They kept them both. So
That's
we're both
crazy.
happy.
Yeah. Geniuses.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I think what it came down to is Welch was kept for his special teams ability, and Ross was kept for his potential.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about Ross. You love everything about Josh Ross, dude. You love his instincts, you love his toughness, you love his play smarts, you love all that. The one thing that I don't know if he can overcome, Jimbo, is he's slow. He's slow, and I think we saw it already in the preseason. They took advantage of him. The touchdown was just the running back quickly out to the flat. It's Josh Ross's responsibility, and he just doesn't have the speed. So, you go back, you look at his his combine numbers, Jimbo, he ran a 4.9. And I think that's why the guy was not initially drafted, because everything else about his game, you just fall in love with watching. But I just wonder how many times offensive coordinators are going to find him on the field, create a way to match him up. They're not dummies, Jimbo. They'll find a way to put him on an island with either a running back or a tight end. And I just hope he can develop I don't know how you increase your speed by that much.
Well, I think you can. I'm not
marginally, not by a ton.
Sure, but you think Josh Bynes runs faster than a 4.9? I don't think Josh Bynes is beating Josh Ross in a race today. I would put a good lot of money on that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But so, again, Josh Bynes undrafted.
Right. So my only point is that I think what the Ravens see is the way Josh Bynes is able to be effective within his role.
Yeah.
And say, Ross, you can do that. We're not asking you to do all of this over here, but you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
So you think he'll always be a limited player?
Yeah, I always think
he'll
not
be a 3-down guy. Okay.
I think he'll be the second fiddle to, a PQ or another guy that's next to him or whatever. But that's okay. I mean, look, we've said it before. I don't know how many undrafted guys have gone and ended up being all pros like a Zach Orr. And I'm not saying he'll do that, but Zach Orr was a second fiddle and then ended up being the all pro, right?
Yep.
So I'm not saying that there isn't tons of space for him to prosper, make money and things like that. But I think that it's going to be interesting to see because look, as somebody mentioned, or Don C mentioned down here, Patrick Queen ran a 4.4 and he's so fast. He runs right by the time. I was literally just about to talk about that because we've mentioned how he'll overrun things.
Yep.
And his instincts aren't as good. His ability to read things aren't as good.
You put them two together, Jimbo. You got one hell of a linebacker.
Yeah, you do. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying?
So I think that, you just, in one way you compensate for those things as a group and then individually. So I'm just happy that my guy made it. I think he's got a lot of potential and I think he's Josh Bynes' replacement next year.
Yeah. I'm just surprised that they were able to find a way
to fit them both.
Yeah. To fit them both and Malik. That's just a lot. I mean, 5 inside linebackers. I'd have to go back and look over the years of their initial 53. And I think you'd have to go quite a few years back to find 5 inside linebackers all making the team.
This is the craziest part about all of it. Think about this, Glenn, okay? Of those 5, there is no position. There's no battle for depth within that position group. Josh Bynes is going into year, 11?
Is it that many?
10 or 11. It's one of the two.
Crazy.
And he is far and away the starter at his position with young guys nipping at his heels for
high round guys.
Right. And he is still out preparing them, outworking them, outsmarting them. You know what I mean? All these things. It's just so incredible to me to watch. Big respect to Josh Bynes, man.
No doubt. Gotta, and I just hope that some of what he's done right over his career rubs off on some of these young guys because that he doesn't, like we said, he doesn't have the natural God-given ability that a lot of the guys behind him on the depth chart have. So he makes up for it in other ways. So let's hope that those other ways kind of rub off on some of these young guys and they can turn that physical ability and combine it with his, the cerebral approach that Josh Bynes must have to make up for his lack of physical ability.
Some of it's just living right, man.
There it is.
You know what I mean?
I know you believe that full.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like when you're stable, when your outside life is stable, it allows you to get more out of your career,
Certainly the less distraction, the better as well. No doubt. But let's get to that list you had of the guys that were cut. And
yep.
I just hope that we can understand some things on here, Jimbo, because I admittedly am a bit confused as to some of these designations they used when they released these guys. This is where we need DK.
Yeah, let me actually switch this up because we'll get pinged.
Oh, was it bad? Okay.
No, I mean it was. I'm just gonna go to Jeff's Twitter.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because I think Jeff had everything up.
That way, the Baltimore Ravens, they like their money.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Oh, yeah. Don't go there. Don't go there because they've never lost.
Seriously, never.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me one sec.
Yeah, but obviously we talked about Steven Means and how we expect him to be back. It's weird. I expect Steven Means to be back before Dalen Hayes. I would expect Brent Urban to be back before Dalen. Like, if I had to pick, and it's crazy, but I would definitely pick both those guys over Dalen. Well, who would you take back, Jimbo? If you could only bring one back, would you take back Dalen Hayes or Tony Jefferson?
Ooh. I think based on the scarcity of the position, you got to go Dalen Hayes.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, he's a guy that knows your system, has some sort of capability enough that you drafted, and he plays a role that you have no one for right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's just, who do you think's the better player?
That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about Dalen
Best player
Hayes.
available, man. Like the Ravens say the best player should make the team, but now you're saying, that they should go to Hayes out of necessity. I just don't know who's better out of those two. And if
Right.
you
We
could only
haven't
bring
seen
back
enough
one.
of Hayes. You know what I mean? But
but we know that Jefferson has had moments where he's been not
let's
just
say
good.
this
He's
at
been
the end of
better
the
than
day.
good.
Let's say this at the end of the day. I don't know if either of those guys are moving the needle. As much as every roster spot counts.
Until both Chuck Clark and Kyle Hamilton are beat up.
And Marcus Williams?
Well, no, but somebody's got to play next to Marcus.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even if they're on the field, I don't know how much I'm just counting on them to do their job, like not to make a play, not to be like a. But yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I don't know how big my dog in the fight is. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, click on that bottom one right there on the screen where it says Ravens Cuts. Blow that one up for me, Jimbo.
This one right here?
Yeah, Ravens Cuts. There we go. Okay. So here's the list of surprising cuts. Jimbo, talk to me about this wide receiver group. Benjamin Victor was on the bubble. He doesn't make it. Mekhi Polk on the bubble. He doesn't make it. And, of course, everyone's favorite, Shamar Bridges, also on the bubble, and he doesn't make it. So why didn't those guys beat out Robinson, who just got here? Why didn't those guys beat out Tylan Wallace, who's missed so much time in camp? How come they couldn't beat those guys?
Yeah, I would have said before Tylan Wallace because he's our guy. We drafted him, spent capital on this, but that doesn't apply here for Baltimore anymore. So, Glenn, I'm the one that I don't know. It's got to be inconsistency because Bridges had moments but was inconsistent. Victor had moments, inconsistent. Polk moments, inconsistent. Riley Webb, I liked. I think we talked about, and maybe they just feel like he didn't have what it took to compete against starters. I don't know, but it stinks. It's got to stink to be those guys. I was thinking about this, man. Imagine working your butt off all camp. Tylan Wallace is at home. James Prochet is at home. Honestly, what have they done in the league, like in live game action?
Yeah.
To say definitively that they're worth keeping more than one of us, right?
Yeah.
So that would be a tough spot to be in. But yeah, I mean, you really got to stand out, and the Ravens are willing to spend draft capital on drafted guys. And I guess none of them did it enough. I don't really know what else there is, man. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just surprised that, and actually back out of this one, Jimbo, the next one right above it has a couple more names plus that one. So hit back.
So it probably has the
that one right above it. Go up.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
And that has
yes,
everything.
This is the So Shamar Bridges, Aaron Crawford, Dalen Hayes were waived injured.
Yeah, so not exactly sure what that distinction, what the difference is, but I mean, I'm sure that it was. I don't know. I don't get why they had the injury thing because all we knew is Shamar Bridges was practicing or playing. So I don't know when he got hurt or when that injury occurred. It could have just happened, or this could just be some sort of accounting thing. But to me, they just didn't get open enough. Shamar Bridges didn't separate enough. He makes the 50-50 catch on those plays, but you can't. It's nice to have that ability sprinkled in with the ability to get open, to separate from the defender, but you can't only have that ability because you can't count on constantly mossing the top level corners. He may have done it against a fifth corner, sixth corner, eighth corner in preseason, who's no longer even in the league, but can he do it against a top corner in a big time moment? I don't think the Ravens could count on that. So they wanted to find guys that can separate. They talk about it when they draft guys. They want receivers that can create separation. And usually that's, route running. If it's the scheme-wise, speed. And it just didn't seem like those guys had either of those things, and just couldn't get open.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I agree with you on that. That's a great point that you make, Glenn. So I'm interested to see what these wide receivers do with the season that they got. There's a lot of trust that's been put into them, and a lot of stock and energy and time and resources and well, I don't know about resources, but energy, time, faith, confidence, all those things. It'll be interesting to see what these young boys make of it. Even with Demarcus Robinson coming into the fold, I don't think that's going to stop a guy like Prochet and Duvernay from excelling this year and really showing out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Drew Frazier says, I saw Ross shedding blocks, anticipating plays, and making hits in the backfield. If PQ made those, we would say he's arrived. Speed of it isn't everything. It certainly isn't. It certainly isn't. But it's a pretty big one in the NFL, speed. Just look at the draft board. There's a reason why there's so much attention on the 40-yard dash. It matters. It matters because it's a game of matchups, and the offensive coordinators will constantly find Josh Ross if he's on the field, and if he's a liability in coverage, they will find a way to take advantage of it. So let's hope that he overcomes it, but it means something.
Yeah, no, for sure. As much as I think I mean, I agree with Drew, but what I'll say to your point is that as much as it means to not have speed, I think that DCs would say, well, I'm going to take advantage of 6 because I know I can spin him around. Like I can confuse him relatively easy, right?
Yeah.
So it's you got to like the NFL is the NFL. It's the cream of the crop. You got to have it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Least
So
you can't have a glaring weakness.
Right. So Josh, I think Josh will he'll get more explosive and be able to anticipate. The game will get slower for him, and while he's getting physically faster, it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe I'm just riding high because he made the squad, but I feel good about this kid moving forward. And he's already moving a step faster because he knows the defense.
Yeah, and he's going to have an opportunity to put on a lot of muscle too, because I saw some lack of play strength too, but that's not out of the ordinary for a rookie by any means. So I think he's going to continue to get better. I'm a fan. I'm excited. I want to see what he continues to do. A couple other guys, Daryl Worley. Do you think he's kind of one of the guys that could be on that shuttle where, he's down? I mean, I know there's a certain group of guys that you can put on your practice squad that are veterans that can be activated for game day only and then revert right back to the practice squad. I got to imagine that a guy like Daryl Worley is a big time candidate for that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of not that I don't like Worley, but he's just a fringe guy to me. I don't. It's hard for me.
Well, but corners. How bad did that room get devastated?
I know.
We need all the corners we can get.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say. I'm just gonna knock on wood and just keep it moving. Just keep it moving.
Because a lot of you weren't impressed with Brandon Stevens in this preseason.
That's true. He didn't have the best preseason. That is for sure. I mean, I cannot deny that. But look, guys, give Brandon Stevens a second. He was a below average running back in college, decides to change the corner, change schools, and was an above average corner. Then gets drafted his first year in the NFL, his second year ever playing defense. They decided to change his position again to safety. And guess what? His second year in the NFL, third year playing defense, he's going back to corner.
Yeah, it's a lot on his plate. I think that's fair.
So give him a break.
That's fair. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, we'll give him a little breather. But, there we go. Doug, what do you guys think about us bringing in Preston Williams, 6'5", 220, with hands and can get separation, or possibly trading for Mims? Well, as far as the Mims thing, I think that he ended up getting like some crazy amount of catches and targets in their final preseason game. And Robert Salah said that he expects Mims to be a part of their team. But Preston Williams, I'd have to dig more into it and look around to see. But I don't know. What's they got a lot of big tight ends. Do they need a big receiver?
Yeah, look, I'm ready to just rock with who we got. Like, let's just go into the season. I don't want to. Maybe it's just me, but like at this point, I don't want to tinker too much unless it's out of complete necessity. So you always want to be improving your roster, but let's roll, dude. Let's see what these guys got. What's his face say? Oh shoot, Russell Wilson.
ride on or something.
Let's ride, like, or
ride.
whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's just go. I mean, I just want to see what these young boys can do at the
Yeah.
wide receiver position. I know they're chomping at the bit, and I'm chomping at the bit just to see them do it. So I'm done with drafting these mid-round receivers and then not giving them a shot. Let's give them a shot already.
Okay, I like it. Let's see what these guys got.
But we appreciate it, Doug.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, hey, I was a big Mims guy remember that draft,
Yep.
whole draft build up. I was a big Denzel Mims guy,
And we
but
took JK with Mims on the board, right?
I think so. I
I
knew there
remember
was
you
an
weren't too happy about
opportunity.
that.
Yeah, I knew there was an opportunity. Well, if I remember,
can't
he's
blame
big,
you.
fast. You know, he's
Yeah.
he's certainly an impressive guy. But I know he had some injury issues early on that kind of curtailed it, kind of hindered his development. So let's see if he can get back. It's not going to be easy unless Joe Flacco remains under center, and then he's got a chance.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
develop.
I know. With Zach Wilson, you might as well jump ship now, my man.
Yeah, just hang up the cleats and call it a day. But
hide your kids, hide your wife. Zach Wilson's around.
Yeah, well, hide your stepmom.
Yeah.
Also, a kind of not a surprise cut, but a guy that I think it was expected to be cut, but a guy that I think a lot of people are hoping sticks around. Quarterback Anthony Brown made a huge impression
He'll
on
hit
the
practice
fans.
squad, right?
Is it any chance? I saw a comment in the the comments earlier saying any chance a team snatches him up?
Nope.
Okay.
No, because they've now associated him with the Ravens, right? In that, like, systemically, he fits what we do, and how many teams do what we do?
Well, I can tell you one thing: nobody does it as well.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of how he's viewed. I think that's how the Ravens feel about it. And I think we'll be fine. Get him on the practice squad. But
listen
Glenn,
to this, Jimbo. I'm sorry. One quick note. I thought this was the coolest thing. So they have a list of total players currently fighting for roster spots and their original team of origin. So either the team that drafted him or signed him as an undrafted free agent. League wide, how many players is one team responsible for league wide still competing for roster spots? You know who's number one in the whole league?
Ew.
The Baltimore Ravens.
They
have 112, as of yesterday, 112 players league wide. Of course, most of which are on the team right now, but league wide competing for roster spots, 112. Second was the Vikings. I mean, it's the Cowboys at 107. So 5 better than the second place. And just to give you a bit of a perspective, the Steelers were the worst in the whole league, 57 players. Jimbo.
Interesting.
How many are on their own team? Kind of makes you, so it's impressive. I mean, you're talking 112 for the Ravens, 57 for the freaking Steelers. So that just shows how incredible this team is at finding talent, developing, and even if it doesn't ultimately sign here long term, it's a great feeder program for the whole league.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. The Orioles are looking to emulate that.
Hey man,
I believe
they're having a tough one tonight. I gotta be honest.
They?
Yeah, they're down 5-1 right now in the top of the 9th. It's not looking good, but that's okay. Can't win them all. We'll be bouncing back.
All right, Glenn. So we got to get to it. We got
one more comment here, Jimbo.
What's that? Didn't we just put this? Oh, got another one for you, gents. What do you think is our game plan for outside linebacker and the pass rush? Secondly, is that one more or is that 2 more, Doug? What's going on here? No, I'm totally kidding. What happens with our running back room and why 5 tight ends? It's 3. And do we trade Boyle? That's all right. We'll get them all in, Doug, because we like it.
Right.
We'll get them all in. So
Lisa Ann was coming after Doug, I think it was, by the way.
No, that wasn't Doug. That wasn't Doug. That was someone else.
It was somebody else. Okay.
But anyway, what do you think of our plan for outside linebacker? We kind of mentioned before.
I think Means is back.
Yeah.
For sure. Maybe JPP?
Maybe, or maybe a Dalen Hayes comes back.
Yep. And then please, Ajabo, get healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's see what happens with our running back room. So I think that in order of, like, early on in the season, we kind of talked about the carries will be, it'll be Mike Davis and Kenyan Drake.
And JK. I think JK will get some even early.
So like week 1?
Yeah. He's going to be on the roster.
Week 1?
Oh, he better be, or if he then pup list him.
Well, then pup list him, he has to sit 4 weeks, right? I mean,
What are
like
we waiting
maybe
on?
he only sits 2 weeks.
Okay, all right. Now you're taking up a roster spot, a guy who's not even has any
This is
chance of
my
playing.
thing. Don't be surprised if a guy like JK and a guy like, I mean, obviously Ronnie, but JK isn't week 1. The Ravens will never say this, and maybe it's just me being a fan, but like, are they really concerned about the Jets? With a backup court? No offense to Joe. I
I
mean,
don't think John takes any team light. Look, the
that's
Jets,
true.
that same Jets, a worse version of this Jets team beat the Bengals last year and beat them
Yeah,
badly.
that's true. I mean, that's a good point, but I don't know if JK plays week 1 is I guess what I'm trying to say. So, but I think eventually what we'll see, I think by the end of the season, it's JK and Gus that are getting the carries. And I think that the Ravens, if Kenyan Drake, like, I think if they like what they see, he could easily become the third wheel, the third stool, or the third leg to that stool, right?
He could be. And I think his ability to return kicks, his
Yep.
ability to catch passes out of the backfield, and be the workhorse if need be. Shown he's done all of those things in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
he would be the perfect complement. And it makes you wonder what happens to Mike Davis and Justice Hill if that ultimately becomes the
Yeah.
case. And then why 5 tight ends? Do we trade Boyle? I think the reason there's 5 is the immediate Kohler move to IR is obvious. And then I think just they're going to use a ton of tight ends this year. They're going to use them like crazy. They're going to revert back to similar what they did in 2019
Mm-hmm.
when Boyle, Hurst, and Andrews all 3 played a ton. And I think that they can't get rid of Boyle because of his contract. So they have to accept the limitations he has athletically, and maybe they look at Oliver as a guy they can make up for some of that. And yeah, they just value that tight end position, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any way around that. It's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. I'm sure it's one of the most unique roster setups or alignments that you'll see at this point in the NFL. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Rafari Cooper, what y'all think? And Rafari, sorry if I'm not saying your name right, my man. Maybe it's Rifari? I apologize. What y'all thinking about our defense and the secondary plus middle linebacker? Well, I think our defense is going to be nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I think our secondary is going to be ridiculous, and our middle linebackers PQ better. I'm hoping that he makes some improvements this year. Those are my opinions on his question. What about you?
I think the defense is going to be really good. I mean, it's all of it's injury dependent, but if they stay healthy and they can just get that pass rush, get some sort of pass rush in the first 6 to 8 weeks until Ajabo can, we start getting some Ajabo, Bowser comes back, until we start getting some cavalry back. If they can limp along that pass rush and have it ready, towards the end of the season, of course, playoffs, then yeah, I mean, I think the sky's kind of the limit for this group.
Yeah, absolutely. But Glenn, we got to close out the show with dedicating some time to none other than Lamar Jackson. Lamar
Yes.
Jackson is lighting up ESPN. Everyone's talking about him. So we got to get to a couple things. I'm going to read between the lines on a couple things because look, that's what we do at the end of the day. That's what they do on ESPN. And we're also, I think, going to give you guys some warnings and some caveats. So just so you guys, if you don't know, Lamar Jackson responded to a tweet about some rumors that the Ravens offered him $250 million guaranteed, and simply said, no, they didn't. And then later on, he liked a tweet of him photoshopped in a Dolphins uniform.
Yes.
Glenn, I'm going to give you the table here because I got a lot of thoughts on this, and I want to know yours first.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Cooper. I'm sure he was speaking to me.
Nice. Yes. I agree with you.
Yeah, right.
So when I think he was talking about the name. You said the name.
Oh,
right.
yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
there you go. a little slow there. So I was not thrilled to see the liking of Lamar Jackson in a Dolphins uniform. Basically, the tweet was saying, if they're not going to give you the bag, come on down to South Florida, and we'll kind of just come on down to South Florida. And they tweet, and he liked it. Not happy about that one single bit. That bums me out. I don't want Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to have any sort of a rift or division, and this is the sort of thing that could start to cause some of that. I mean, that would be like somebody, a disgruntled fan, tweeting at the Baltimore Ravens and saying, "Well, if Lamar doesn't want our money, somebody else will," and they tweet a picture of like the next incoming, college quarterback in a Ravens uniform, and then the Baltimore Ravens like the post.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want that. Would be horrible too. Like it's the same thing in my opinion. I think it's bad. I'm not a fan of it at all. And the reason I'm not a fan of it is because that might start to kind of become a wedge that drives the two apart. And ultimately, Lamar Jackson isn't the Ravens quarterback long term. I just wish this would all be over. I wish they would give him the money, let him have it, and let's move on and let this be behind us, because this is just the start of what could be a problem between the two, Jimbo. I don't know. Talk me off a ledge here, Jimbo. Help me.
Yeah, I think in some ways I'm going to be able to. In other ways, I think I might get you a little more concerned.
Oh, no.
So a lot of thoughts in my mind. One, he gave the Ravens his number when he responded, "No, they didn't." Because if that to me means if they would have, I would have signed.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it might be a lot of money, but give him the money, because $250, you're giving him Aaron Rodgers money over 5 years instead of 3. He's 1,000 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. So give him the money. Like, it is what it is. Just give him the money. Number 2, there might be a what's the word?
Silver
a positive
lining?
side, a silver lining to giving him that money, right? So say Bisciotti ponies up, right? Gives him the money. Then the next 2 guys in line have notoriously cheap owners that will have to pay their guys more. The Bengals, he ain't paying him $250 plus to Joe.
He don't have it.
Right. And you're right. And if he does, yeah, he can't put $250 in escrow. I seriously doubt that. And the Chargers owner, just as broke, is what I understand.
Maybe worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So look.
No fans.
Yeah. So those are 2 teams in the AFC, 1 in our division. We don't have to worry about it. All right. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? The Browns might have screwed us, but maybe we try and find a silver lining here and say, well, at least we can hurt these guys, right? Not only, secure our future with Lamar, but we can hurt these guys. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. But the other thing I want to say about the tweet, which makes me a little concerned, yes and no. One, standard procedure now, Glenn, is what Hollywood Brown did, scraping his team from his Instagram, all that. Kyler Murray did it, and then got the second largest. Right, got the largest overall contract in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken, the largest overall contract, right?
Maybe.
I mean, it was $500,000 more than Deshaun Watson in total value. Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, so that's a good point. But outside of Pat, which whatever, that's really a 5-year deal, so call it what it is. But anyway, point being, he got a lot of money, $189 million guaranteed, got a huge contract, right? And he scrubbed his entire team from social media. So all Lamar did was like a tweet. So when you compare those 2 things.
And maybe he was liking a portion of that tweet and not necessarily the uniform. So see,
that's where I think you're wrong.
Maybe he was just saying.
No, Lamar. So this is where I know, I'm sorry, but Lamar.
You're bursting my bubble.
Yeah. He doesn't beat around the bush. He says what he does and does what he says.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything crazy to the tweet, like cryptic or thought out or like, no, he was like, hey, Baltimore, like, other people love me. Give me my money.
Lots of teams would be lined up. And it really, and I don't even like to go down this road, but when you look at Miami and look at the receivers they have, the fact that Lamar is from there, and the fact that they have a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa that they seemingly don't believe in and could get away from very easily, makes me even more nervous. And it looks like,
don't be nervous. Really quickly, Sean, go ahead. You can read that.
Yeah, Sean says, y'all, the Lamar scenario makes me anxious. I love Lamar, but I thought he'd want more of a team-friendly deal, but he should also get paid. I just wish it was all over with. And I tend to agree with Sean.
I agree as well, but Glenn, through it all, this is how I'm going to bring it around and give it a positive spin, okay?
All right.
$250 over 5 years might sound like a ton of money now. I think in 3 years, $50 million a year for a quarterback is a friendly deal.
It's like the Kirk Cousins quarterbacks are getting that deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think at the end of the day, it's not a bad deal. Number 2, when it comes to the deal in of itself and the concern about Lamar going to Miami or being attracted to this team or the other, there's an old adage in sales, right? And I've been in sales for a while now, and that selling remedies all problems. Just like in sports, winning remedies all problems. Getting his contract done is a win for Lamar Jackson. So as much as he might be interested in the Dolphins and there might be mutual interest, Lamar Jackson is not going to resist signing the dotted line if the money is right. And then he's going to be all in, just like he has been for the Ravens, his squad. Like, that's just going to solve all the problems. It's just they're at an impasse right now. They just got to work it out. But I still believe now or later this gets done. He's not going somewhere else.
But here's the thing, and I tell myself they could franchise him and all that, but at the same time, how contentious could the relationship between the two get if that's the route it goes? If it goes, I want to be gone because you're not giving me this money, and the Ravens say, well, we're not letting you leave. Here's a franchise tag. Deal with it. Like, I don't want that, because here's one thing we know about the Ravens. If a player comes to them, whether it's quietly behind closed doors like Hollywood or publicly on Twitter like Orlando, if you ask for a trade, the Ravens will typically allow you to seek a trade and ultimately get you out of town, except for, it seems like, Chuck Clark, who may have asked and was denied. But every other person who asked and requested out is gone. So how do we know it doesn't get to that point?
Well, and that's where Lamar might need an agent. I think with Chuck, I don't think it was denied, outright denied. It was like, Chuck, this is how much we value you, Kyle Hamilton or not. If you get us that, we will let you walk. But if you don't, we will not. You see what I'm saying? Like,
but he didn't make it seem like he seeked any sort of trade. It seemed like he went to him, said he wanted it, and he said, and I was basically informed I wasn't going anywhere. So then I said, well, you got to take my job.
Right, because it was like, Chuck, you, like, theoretically, sure, if you want to go bring us a deal, but the chances of you getting a 1 and a 2 for Chuck Clark, or like something outrageous, whatever they said, is not happening. So he's not going anywhere. I think, and this is where Lamar might need an agent. Lamar might say, he might be like, well, I want to trade, right? Like, if it comes to that and they can't work it out, signs the
I don't want to be here under a franchise.
Then Lamar, go find yourself a trade. How's Lamar going to go out and find a trade? No agent.
Well, he may seek help in some other ways other than a traditional agent. I don't know how, there's creative ways.
Sure. All I'm saying, and I don't think he needs an agent. That's not my point either. But if he's going to go that route, he certainly is. I don't think there's any way around it. But at the end of the day, Glenn, just remember this, okay? The deal's going to get done. Eric will stop tippy-toeing. If it's now or it's next year, Lamar Jackson's going to be a long-term Raven. Like, don't lose sight of that.
Okay. Now, here, let me ask you one last thing.
And the media doesn't know anything. Except us. We know everything.
Yeah, of course. If Lamar Jackson, is there a way he could price himself out? Like, is there a number? So if he wins the Super Bowl, I'm assuming that whatever number he's asking for right now will have to go up, right? Like, that's the I don't know. I just think that right now that number is what it is, and he's not willing to go below it. But is that number then going to go up if he plays like an MVP and wins? Of
course.
So
sign him now. I don't get it either. That's the one part of this equation that I don't get, that we'll never understand, because I think it might have to do with Bisciotti.
Yeah, it might. That's a contract that has to go by the owner, right?
Yeah, so let's get to these last two, and we'll call it a night. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'm going to read this to you, Glenn, so you can blush.
All right.
Hey, Glenn, love the content, bro. You do such a good job on 410 Sports Talk. Love your show. You're so creative, Glenn. I think you could bring on better guests. Good night. Fair enough.
Well, we're working on a pretty big guest right now that has, just some scheduling issues, but we're this close to bringing a real Raven legend onto these. But we'll continue to push for better guests. I appreciate the kind words, Knox. Very, very generous of you. And I appreciate it big time.
Chat.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, we're going to keep working on bringing in bigger and better guests. It's just hard. It's funny. We don't get a ton of no's, but we get ignored a lot. A lot. I could probably count on one hand how many actual hard no's we get, but we get tons, and I could fill this room with ignores.
Yeah, seriously. It's not
But
for
we're
lack of
working.
trying, guys.
Yeah, we're working on it. I appreciate the love and support, though.
Absolutely.
Drew Frazier, just don't piss LJ off. I get the feeling Lamar's the kind of guy where he's good until he's not, but when he's done, he's done. You know what? I think Drew hit this right on the head, dude. Lamar does kind of feel like if he starts to feel like the Ravens are if they're being disrespectful with their offers or whatever, a part of what an agent does is the buffer between the athlete and the team, and maybe that buffer not being there, some words get said that he doesn't like hearing. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is the type of guy that if you burn him, if he feels he's been rubbed the wrong way, he's done. He's done. I mean, I just hope there's no division here. That's what I'm worried about, Jimbo.
Yeah, I am too, but I honestly believe and have faith it gets done. It gets done. Now or later, it gets done. Everything we find, winning, money, contracts, stability solve all problems. I've seen way more heated people disrespected, mothers disrespected, religions disrespected scenarios, and people come to amends. It will work out.
Okay. I hope you're right. Shout to Ing Raven. No, you will not call her night, Glenn. Shout out to both of y'all. Appreciate it. Man, we got to link up, by the way.
I know. We've been missing each other like ships in the night, dude.
I know. I can't believe we were in the same stadium and we didn't take a picture.
We're this little tiny rowboat and he's the Titanic and we're just
yeah, we're just like, don't run us over.
Over here.
Don't go past.
We shoot up a flare.
Shout out to Ig. We gotta link up, man. We certainly gotta find a way to schedule it in. But man, what a night. Let's just hope that whatever negotiations need to go down over the next when's the deadline, Jimbo? He said there's a deadline. We assume it's
week one.
So does that mean when's week one? When's the date?
September 11th.
So we got what, 12 days?
Something.
Gee willikers, 12 days, guys, before let's hope that things don't start to get awkward.
It won't.
Good. Well, I love, you know what? I love that Jimmy's bringing this optimistic look.
It won't. It just simply won't.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Well, the media is going to do their very best to continue to drive that wedge between the two. But let's hope. Yeah, let's hope for the best. But let us know everything in your comments, guys, because this 53-man roster had more than a few surprises, and I think there's still some more on the horizon. I think there's still going to be some new additions. Some guys that were cut will be brought back, and we might see some guys who were brought back may not be here very long, even though they made that initial 53. But let us know all your surprises, your disappointments. Check out our Patreon. We've had a few new members join recently. DK just published a brand new article today, which was fantastic as always. We got some exciting things on the horizon, when it comes to the Patreon. But give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let me give a couple shout outs, Jimbo, and you can certainly jump in whenever you feel inspired to. Flo's Nose, appreciate you coming out. Eric Taylor, Mick Diamond, yes, 250 guaranteed. Yes, Mick Diamond, let's do it.
Yeah, we're signing
Jordan up. My man DK popping in at the last moment. Jordan Guerra, I think.
Lisa Ann.
Guerra. Yeah, Lisa Ann. You better watch out. You
Doug.
You come at me, you're going to have to deal with Lisa.
That's right. Doug Cruson, Ing Raven, of course, and Don C. Always hyping up
Ray,
the big time. All you guys.
Ray's
all the
always
super
in
chatters
here.
To all the silent observers. We love it all. Thank you so much. I love the namaste. That was awesome. Shout out. And we're looking forward to Thursday night. Make sure you, like you said, Glenn, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications because news is rolling in. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
See you.